This is Jack. Jack was given magic seeds in exchange for his family's cow. When he planted them, they grew into a massive, towering beanstalk reaching up into the clouds. Jack climbed the beanstalk and found himself in the castle of a hostile giant. After almost getting caught, Jack managed to steal a sack of golden coins and rushed down the beanstalk and gave the coins to his mother. Eventually, Jack climbed the beanstalk and went to the giant's house once again. After avoiding him once more, he was able to steal the giant's hen, which was capable of laying golden eggs, and quickly went down the beanstalk to give it to his mother. A few days later, Jack climbed the beanstalk and went to the giant's castle yet another time and tried to steal his magical harp. But while Jack was leaving, the harp started yelling, trying to alert its owner that it was being stolen. The giant tried to catch Jack, but he was too fast. For the last time, he climbed down the beanstalk as fast as he could. When arriving at his house, Jack grabbed an axe and chopped down the beanstalk, causing the inevitable fall of the giant, which led to his death. Jack and his mother then lived happily forever. In Jack's story, 3 events repeated themselves 3 times each. First, Jack climbed the beanstalk, then he stole one of the giant's possessions, and finally, he rushed down the beanstalk. What is 3 times 3? 9. What is 9? 9 times 1. But 9 times 1 can also be written like this. Oh! This is Rayman. Rayman has just found himself at the very top of a giant beanstalk. He is quite unsure how he got here, but all he knows is that he needs to escape. And for that, he needs to go down the beanstalk as quickly as possible, just like Jack. For more than 11 years, players have pushed 2-1 Ray and the Beanstalk Invaded to its limits. On an average player's first playthrough of the game, they should be able to complete it in around 30 seconds. But at the top of the leaderboard, times are much faster. 2-1 Invaded is, and always will be, the shortest invasion in the game. In this video, we will see exactly how Rayman was able to go down the beanstalk in a bit over 10 seconds. But before we go down the beanstalk in a video game, we need to go down in real life. Let me explain. What is 3 times 3? 9. Do you know what there is also 9 of? There are 9 circles of hell in Dante's Inferno. The 9 circles represent a gradual descent into increasing levels of sin and punishment. That's right, before going down the beanstalk, we need to go down in hell. We will have a look at Dante's journey through the 9 circles of hell, guided by the poet Virgil. And no, not these Dante and Virgil, these ones. At the beginning of the story, we learn that Virgil is here to guide Dante on his journey, so that no harm will befall him, which means that all he shall see during his time in hell will help him rather than hurt him. Now that we know that, it is time to enter Hell's first circle, Limbo, by Minecraft. The first circle is home to the unbaptized and virtuous pagans who lived good lives but never accepted God. The equivalent god of Rayman Legends must be Polocus, since he created everything, but that also means that he created those who never accepted him, the monsters from his nightmares. They live solely in ignorance of God, and for that they must spend eternity in Limbo. By Minecraft. Those who reside there are exempt of physical torture, but they will live with the regret of not being able to fight Rayman and get destroyed a second later. Dante now makes his way into the second circle, Lust. According to Dante, adultery is the least bad crime you can commit, and the punishment is to get pushed back and forth infinitely by strong winds without rest. So you can basically fly. That's not a punishment. The Rayman Origins nymphs could be considered a form of lustful attraction, but since there is no in-game representation of lust in Rayman Legends, this level of hell is reserved to one person only. Whoever made this, what the fuck? Gluttony is the third layer of hell. It is for those who had addictions to food, valuing it over their peers. Their punishment is to stay in an endless mixture of mud produced by an endless icy rain. The equivalent of this in Rayman Legends is Glowbox, who, if you didn't know, was originally red. Glowbox found a berry which he really wanted to eat. What he didn't know is that that berry was actually a blue mosquito's eye. After failed attempts to take the eye, he just swallowed the whole insect. Once inside Glowbox's body, the mosquito buzzed noisily for help, and immediately a swarm of blue mosquitoes appeared to sting Glowbox, leaving him with several bluish-purple welts, which eventually became part of his skin and turned him blue. His greed led to his downfall. Wait, greed, the fourth circle of hell, is reserved to those who spent their whole life oversaving or overspending money. They are forced to roll boulders against each other. The Rayman representation of those who committed this sin is the entirety of the Lum's leaderboard, which is entirely cheated, which led to the inflation of the Lum economy and ruined the whole society established in the Glade of Dreams by Polocus, who is also God. So we can say that the people in the Lum's leaderboard defy God, which can be resumed into one word: heresy.
Foreshadowing is...
Dante now finds himself on the 5th layer of hell, Wrath. Those who have expressed anger in their life are doomed to fight eternally in the river Styx. So a battle in water for one invaded. Anger, right. Imagine expressing anger over a video game. Failing the last part of a level will indulge anger, but you must not rage, and you shall meditate, relax, or accept God. Unlike the sinners in the 6th circle of hell, heresy. Heretics defy God. They willingly break his rules, and for that they are trapped inside of flaming tombs. We've said before that the Rayman Legends god is Polluchus, and thus the heretics must be the monsters who came from his nightmares. But that is false. The real god of Rayman Legends is none other than Michel Ancel, the creator of the game, which means that the heretics who break his rules are people who have cheated in the game, and for that they shall burn in Circle 6 for eternity. Although I have cheated in the past, so no, scrap that! 7th circle, violence, is split into 3 parts. The first part, where those who acted with violence against others reside, has them boiled in the river of blood, which kinda looks like the water in World 3 of Rayman Origins without the piranhas. The punishment for committing violence against oneself is being turned into a tree for some reason, and the punishment for committing violence against God, which is similar to heresy, is to wander aimlessly in a desert forever. Quite an odd layer of hell, if you ask me. Fraud is the 8th layer of hell, the last one before reaching Satan himself. The circle of fraud is an extremely dark place that holds those who use lies for personal gain. This circle was divided into 10 holes, each holding a different type of liar, and each had a different but fitting punishment. A very good example of someone lying to a young audience for personal gain is Hazel's Bagels, who reportedly made clickbait videos about quitting the game, and also about being able to give out VIP status. And since the punishment is personalized for everyone, I think Hazel's Bagels should just die. And now, finally, Dante makes his way into the last circle of hell. Treachery. Here lie the worst sinners, betrayers. If you betrayed your friends, your family, you are encased in ice, with only your head popping out, only left to observe your tragic destiny. I really tried to find an example of someone in the Rayman Legends community who betrayed everyone. Maybe someone that was a bug hunter in the past, and started cheating on every challenge for no reason. I wonder who that could be. Anyway, as Dante makes his way to the last circle, he approaches the center and he sees Satan, a 3-headed, 6-winged creature who will eternally blow freezing gusts of wind. So who is Satan in the realm of Rayman Legends? Satan is me! I have committed every sin previously listed. I side with the monsters of Polluchus nightmares. I have seen Rule 34 of Barbara. I eat sandwiches every hour. I have once cheated 2 billion numbs into my account. I get angry every time I play the game. I have cheated in the past multiple times and even made a video about it. I have been very violent. I did lie about a few things, such as quitting the game, and I have betrayed every single one of you because I am the devil, I am Lucifer, I am Satan! Moving on, editor me here. I just realized that was really corny, I'm sorry. It sounded better in my head. After going to all 9 circles of hell, Dante finally escapes. He has learned a lot after seeing all the punishments indulged to the sinners. He knows what he mustn't do. He will then go on to Purgatory and Heaven in the 2 next parts of Dante's Divine Comedy. But these books get about as much attention as Rayman Mini. Has anyone even thought of the game in the last year? Now, how does everything I just told you about Dante's Inferno and the 9 circles of hell correlate to 2-1 Ray and the Beanstalk Invaded? I'm not telling you now. Watch the whole video to find out. Okay, the literature part is finally done, and now we can talk about Rayman Legends. Rayman, represented as Dante in our story, has made his way through all of hell, just to answer the question, how can you finish 2-1 Invaded in such a short time? I mean, with an average run, it takes around 30 seconds to beat. We've already seen that before, so how can you possibly shave off that much time? Very simple actually, but we have to make a jump in the past. Precisely by 11 years, 8 months, 16 days, 9 hours, 27 minutes, which is even before the game was released. How is that possible, you may ask? In the demo version of Rayman Legends, there is 1-1, 2-1, and 1M, Castle Rock. According to Craftendo, on the Xbox 360 version of the demo, there was one additional level, 2-1, Ray and the Beanstalk Invaded. The problem is, I haven't actually been able to confirm this, since I found no trace of the invasion in the Xbox demo version, but I'll just take Craftendo's word for it. On August 14th, 2013, Mills Tales Brawler achieves the oldest invasion score ever in the history of the game, a 1790, already much faster than the 30 seconds of an average player, set on the same day that the demo released. Unfortunately, the video attached is private. The first recorded world record of the invasion would occur almost 3 months later by Kane of Patchy, getting a 1529, which was over 2.5 seconds faster than Mills Tales Brawler 1790. Now that we have a video, we can finally analyze the strats to understand how Rayman went down the beanstalk that quickly. Remember, that was the sentence I used in the intro. Always make a link with your subject. That's the only thing I remember from my literature class. Kane starts his run by... what is he doing? Whoa, very clever. So yeah, If you ground pound on the bumper and ground pound again high in the air at a specific time, you can just barely skip past the first set of flames. You can then drop down from the vine, glide a bit, and land on the enemy's shield and dash on it? Wow, I never knew that. Kane then finishes his run by getting speed from spinning on the slope and jumping over the water, carefully avoiding the fireballs while coasting in the winds, just like the winds in the second circle of hell. Always make a link with your subject. That is the only thing I remember from my literature class. Okay, almost 10 minutes in the video, and we've covered only the first world record. Great progress. I'm sorry about the quality of the video, I can't really do anything about it, but considering it was 11 years ago, that is understandable. And if you couldn't bear the quality, it's not going to get better. Kane improved down to a 1501, a 1491, and a 1468 in the next few days, using similar strats. And I could honestly not tell you how he saved over half a second, since you can only see about 40 images through the whole run. French player DJ Elmoy offers the first high quality run so far, with a time of 1449. He kicked after bouncing on the enemies, and did a wide off of the vine, instead of walking off of it. Maybe there is some potential to explore here.
Foreshadowing as a
Kane struck back a few days later with a new world record. He actually didn't do a ground pound on the bumper, and still managed to survive to the flame, which actually surprised me when I wrote the script. This was my first time seeing it done. He didn't use DJ Elmoy's strat on the vine, but he landed on the enemy's shield before the one he used to land on, which saved him more time. He kept improving his record day after day, 1434, 1429, 1418, and then there was no activity for a while. For 5 days. PK tied Kane, and in proper speaky fashion, there is no video attached, only a screenshot, and then another one. Oh, what a jump! Yeah, sadly, we will never know how he managed to save half a second. But don't forget, you can't save time when you're spending eternity in limbo. My mind can. Always make a link with your subject. That is the only thing I remember from my literature class. Is this joke getting old? Probably, but I'll make sure to include it one last time in the video when you least expect it. Thankfully, DJ Aylmoy has a run to show us the time save, and it all comes from landing on the enemy's shield before the one he used to land on, which is much closer to the drop down from the vine. On the same day, our screenshot man strikes again, with yet another half a second improvement. How does he keep doing these? He then improves to a 1303 and a 1283, being the first person to break the 13-second barrier. And oh wait, there's a video attached. Nah, I'm just joking. According to the World Record Archive in the main spreadsheet, the next record after Speake's 1283 is Arsène Lupin with a 1268, more than 8 months later, but there is no proof at all, so I don't know where this comes from. But the next world record, with video proof finally, is more than 2 years after Speake's last screenshot. There is a lot to unpack here. Martini's 1248 run starts with a YBY, so he's able to squeeze under the bumper and grab on there, saving a few frames. After the drop down, he only glides once, perfectly landing on the first possible shield, since the previous one is too close to the fire, which actually kills you if you touch it. Martin finishes his run with a skid boost on the slope, instead of simple spins, allowing him to reach close to max speed, and he just has to kick to the finish to end up with quite the optimized time already. And keep in mind, this was more than 9 years ago. A bit later, Martin improved to a 1236, only changing the skid boost setup at the end, which made him avoid the bounce on enemy. The truth is, that run looked perfect. Obviously not physically perfect, he even said himself that a low 20.2x was possible, but that's my point. After saving a few extra frames here and there, what was going to be next? There were a few runs over the next years that only improved the world record by a frame or two, like 1228 by Martin, 1224 by Giffengood, 1221 by Fanati, 1219 by Giffengood again, 1218 and 1214 by Shisui. New strat alert! Shisui found a strat, everybody. Here it is. Oh. Never mind. Well, it doesn't matter for now, since it will only make its first appearance 5 months later. We'll get back to that. Togging also gets 1214 as his first world record, but this run is special. Star's strategy for sub 12 in Invasion 2-1. What? He just skipped the bumper? It saves a quarter of a second? And some top players can't even recreate it once? Yeah, that's Javi strat summed up. Thanks to the generous hitbox of the very first flame, you can actually go through it, ground pound from there, and survive. Sometimes. Either way, 2-1 invaded and is now revived. There is a new strat designed to save time, maybe enough to sub 12? Martin and Zaki05 both got 1206 on the same day, using the same strats. Javi and oh no, still no Shisui. A week later, Martin and Togging both got 1201 on the same day, also with only Javi strat. They were both 1 frame away from breaking most likely the last second barrier possible, but who would be the first to do it, and how much time would it take? Just 8 days later, this happened. Martin had just achieved the legendary sub, and the video's description has some interesting things to note. First off, Martin acknowledges himself that Togging deserved the first sub even more than he did, in a true act of sportsmanship. He then says that an 11.8x should be possible, and of course, we have the Shisui strat. The Shisui strat consists of simply landing on the very first shield and spinning off of it, then gliding a bit to reach this shield, and just finish the run as usual. When I said that since the previous one is too close to the fire, which actually kills you if you touch it, I used a strategy called lying to make a plot twist effect. Martin says just after that he doesn't think Shisui strat will be implemented anytime soon, and that he was done with the invasion for the time. And it really looks like he was. He didn't set a new record for one day. The day after he's up 12, Martin would become the first person to get Shisui in a run. Would you believe me if I told you that the 1191 score is not even the most interesting thing in the video? Now that's a crazy score. The run features Javi strat, Shisui strat, and a really good end for a final time of 11:54. Martin really wasn't done with 2-1. He set his goal to get an 11.8x. Nobody was expecting what would happen just 3 days later, not even Martin himself. (1171). Martin smashed past his own goal of 11.8x and almost went straight to 11.6x, and he became the first person to get Javi and Shisui in one run. He also said himself that the execution was improvable since he was playing safe, but the run would stand as world record for quite a while until an old face came back for revenge. Finally, Togging claimed the world record back, after so much hard work. It was truly deserved. In his description, he mentioned how the backache setup for the last skid boost made it work more often. But what if we just didn't need it? Less than a month after Togging struck back, this happened. And yeah, you don't even need a skid boost. Martin's 11:51 was a 0.17 improvement over the previous world record, but he wasn't done. The next day, Martin would improve the world record twice in only 9 minutes. 11:44 twice in 9 minutes. The only notable difference is the improved Javi strat, which now consisted of doing a spin Y-way up instead of the wall jump they were doing before. This world record stood for a good while, but it wouldn't stay uncontested. In fact, a known protagonist would once again make a return, and 9 months later, that person was Togging. He tied Martin's time, without the spin Y-boy of Javi strat, but Togging was not satisfied, as just 3 days later, a frame improvement. Martin didn't let it slide, as he came back with the 11:43 himself a few months after Togging. Nothing really special to add. Anyways, Togging and Martin were obviously aiming for an 11.3x with an upkick strat, which doesn't actually work, because Shisui strat is pace locked, so even if you land quicker, you will still have to wait before spinning, or else you just die to the fireball. We would have to wait almost 1 year for a large discovery by Craftendo, somehow. He found that Glowbox was actually 1 frame faster at the Javi strat, which allowed Martin to get an 11:41 with a kick. That just lost him 2 frames. He would get 1141 a lot more times, and he even made a video with the title "One Must Imagine Globox Happy," referencing Sisyphus endlessly pushing a boulder to the top of a mountain, pushing boulders for eternity. Doesn't that remind you of something? They are forced to roll boulders against each other. What we didn't know was that Martin was actually in the fourth circle of hell, and to escape, he needed to get an 11.3x, possibly the last tenth of a second reachable, by a human.
Foreshadowing isn't.
A month and a half after his 1141, on a bright sunny day in Australia, or on a very fiery day in hell, depending on how you see it, Martin got this legendary run. He had actually done it, the first ever 11.3x. He said that the run was still improvable, and talked about a water jump? I always knew 2-1 was a water invasion. The water jump saves one frame if done correctly. There isn't much more to say about it. Even if he said his run was improvable, the next eventful change in the 2-1 invaded timeline would happen 3-1-3-2-1-2, 3-2-1, 3-1-2, 2-1-3. Sorry, I don't know what that was. 313 days after Martin's 1139, and it would be a tie world record, but not from someone you expect. Tenollie 7 was basically unknown a month prior, and after quickly getting 1169, he decided to practice Javi one morning, and on his 5th ever Javi strat, he finished the run with the 1146. After that, he knew he could be a serious contender for the world record, and just 4 days after his 4th place, he did just that. But Martin was not a 2-1 goat for nothing. Less than 24 hours after Tenollie's 1139, he himself shaved off one more frame, for a time of 1138. Tenollie, in great sportsmanship, congratulated his opponent, promising to tie his record once again. And he actually did, just 4 days later. But how did this new contender get so good at 2-1, and so quickly? It's purely because the invasion had a sudden burst in popularity thanks to a new strat, which was slower, but allowed for a way more consistent chase we setup, by kicking after bouncing on enemies, spin jumping to the right, and turning around at the right time. And that strat was found by, you guessed it, Martin. Nah, I'm joking, Frozen found it. Nah, I'm joking again. Honorary Goblin found it a few months before. Thanks to the strat being fairly easy, a lot of people could now get sub 12 times, and they flooded the leaderboard. For reference, this was the leaderboard before Frozen popularized the strat, and this was it just after. With this new wave of people playing 2-1, someone was bound to stick out, and actually push the world record down more and more. I think it's now time to talk about one of the most important aspects of the invasion, which I've been purposefully putting aside for the whole duration of the video. TAS. Tool-assisted speedruns are done with the help of a program, which allows someone to give inputs to a machine, which will play them back every time. TAS is used to create theoretical perfect runs with no mistakes, or to test new strats. But for an invasion as short and as execution based as 2-1, it would be interesting to actually get a TAS run done, and for that, we would have to wait. What do you mean it was done 7 months before? Yeah, on January 14th, 2024, Galaxiee, with Martin's help, would upload a true masterpiece of a TAS, with a time you would never see coming in a million years. (11:15), a whole 0.23 faster than the world record. Except not really. You see, I previously mentioned that there was an idea of doing an upkick at the vine part, but by landing on the shield earlier, you would just die to the fireball. But if you look at the TAS, the fireball is not here. So what exactly happened? Very simple. Galaxiee paused the Yuzu emulation in the middle of the run to lag the game, which made it so the fireball was no longer in the way. This lag is not actually doable by a human on a normal console, so an 11:15 time is not feasible at all. Although, just 10 days after Tenollie's 11:38 time, Martin will get into tassing himself, with one goal in mind: create the theoretical perfect human TAS. (11:33), 3 frames faster than the world record. 3 frames stood between the world record and physical perfection. With an actual end objective, the grind started for Martin again. 2 months later, he delivered this run.
Yes! Yes!
Another frame improvement, unsurprisingly. 2 frames left for perfection. 4 months later, we got this run. Another frame improvement, unsurprisingly. 1 singular frame left to get the perfect run. Oh wait, wrong video. Unless another improvement was found, the legendary journey to go down the Beanstalk as fast as possible was 16 milliseconds away from being complete. And who knows, maybe Rayman will go to Purgatory in heaven next, just like Dante. Always make a link with your subject. That is the only thing I remember from my literature class. On January 23rd, 2025, the unthinkable happened. $11.34. Was Tenollie back for revenge? Nope, it was Cobson, seemingly out of nowhere. And I say seemingly because his previous uploaded PB was in 11.48, around 6 months prior. Cobson did get a few runs in between, like a 11.41 and a 11.38, but he still tied the world record extremely fast. Now, 11.34 is the current world record by both Martin and Cobson, but there is more. The video is not over. Prepare yourself for the great task compilation. I know I used the same music twice. I was lazy, okay? It all started back on January 9th, 2024, more than a year before Cobson's tied world record. Galaxiee, one of the best testers, and one of the only ones, told the task group chat that 11.1x was possible on 2-1, and that he had just gotten an 11.28. Not by lagging the game this time, but by doing an angled spin down to another shield, and incorporating a walloping PR on the vine at the end. He then improved to 11.25 and the 11.21 with a different shield route at the end. After discovering that the lag manipulation could save time, Galaxiee improved to an 11.18, 11.16, and finally the 11.15 that I showed you previously. There were some talks between Galaxiee and Martin about a potential way to gain 1 singular frame, which includes numbers that sadly weren't that useful, since it didn't turn out to be faster. Martin improved the lag manipulation time to an 11.11 with Glowbox, but the most important task to remember is Galaxie's 11.21, which is, for now, the theoretical limit achievable for a human, even though it is very unlikely to ever happen. We can only look forward to seeing an 11.33 achieved one day, either by Martin, Cobson, or even someone else, to witness a truly perfect run. This should be the end of the video, but something feels off. We haven't mentioned a specific person in a while. Dante. He's been through hell, but for what? What was even the correlation with Rayman Legends all along? Wait, who made Rayman Legends? Monsieur Lancel, I know, but the dev badge on PS4, the only one, who does it belong to? I knew it. Dante was infiltrated all along. But he had a good reason. He went through all of hell just to know what not to repeat in Rayman Legends for an enjoyable experience for the players. What a lovely dev tester. Always make a link with your subject. That is the only thing I remember from my literature class. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe, as they take a long time to research, script, and edit. Special thanks to Martin, Galaxiee, and Tenollie for helping with the video. Until next time, goodbye. Always make a link with your subject. That is the only thing I remember from my literature class.